Vizcaya Museum and Gardens is an iconic tourist destination here in South Florida. It was originally built by James Deering as his dream home.
Hello, my name is Alena Capra. I'm the curator at Vizcaya Museum and Gardens. Welcome back to our museum. So Vizcaya's first floor is all about entertainment and the public areas, while the upstairs is all about the private quarters and the bedrooms.
Get ready to be inspired as we take you through some of the private quarters of this stately European-style villa on today's SoFlo Home Project. Welcome to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra. Last week we toured part of the first level of this amazing home, and today we take a look back at what life was like in the early 1900s here at Vizcaya as we tour some of the private areas of the second level. Today we look at some stately rooms with amazing views, the challenges of building a historic home with modern amenities, the use of hidden passages throughout the home, and much more. So we are back here at Vizcaya Museum and Gardens, joined again by curator Alena Gomez. Alena, so we're happy to have you back with us this week, so welcome.
Thank you for having me again.
So last week we toured the downstairs areas, more of the entertaining spaces here at Vizcaya, but now we've walked upstairs, and this would be considered more of the private areas, correct?
That's correct. All the bedrooms are upstairs, the private quarters, and where we're standing right now is actually the breakfast room.
Now, just to set up where we are in the home itself, we have beautiful views straight ahead to the gardens, and I remember when we were downstairs in the sunroom, we had the same view, so we're directly on top of that room.
Yes, we're directly on top, and remember we talked about the architectural element, how they raised the breakfast room because of that gate, and we've just come up some steps.
And let's not forget about all of the details here. So let's start with what's going on over here on the canvas on the walls.
Yeah, so they have this panoramic canvas. So these are marinescapes. So what we're seeing is basically everything that happens at sea, and just following Deering's love for the sea, the ocean, and boating. It really brings that together into the space. So this is where he would have taken breakfast as well as other informal meals. And we know he preferred this space than the formal dining room that we have downstairs.
I'm looking at the designs and the floor. I mean, it is just art.
Yes, we continue to see different types of marbling on the floors. We have 18th century canvases. We also see some Asian or chinoiserie inspired elements. So the planters, the sculptures. So at the end of the second half of the 19th century, there's this interest for everything Asian, but we do see a lot of those elements brought into Vizcaya.
Absolutely, and there's so many different things like in every room of the home. You could be lost in here for hours just looking at all of the details. I mean, I can't imagine how much time and curation it took to create what we're seeing right here.
Yes, everything that we see in the rooms was brought in with a purpose, was meant to be in the space.
Absolutely, and we often in design refer to the ceiling as the fifth wall, right?
Yes.
And in every room in Vizcaya, the ceiling is definitely the fifth wall because it continues beautiful design.
Yes, I mean, in this space in particular, you see that the ceiling is reflected on the floor. So we have this oval shape on the center, and it's the same thing that we're seeing above, and the same similarity of like same color palette.
Absolutely.
So there is definitely a correlation between what we see above and under our feet.
Absolutely, it has a dramatic feel, but at the same time, it balances out so nicely, of course, with these beautiful views right outside. It's kind of like you have this amazing design, but also offset by these beautiful views, and it works so beautifully together. So
this is technically considered a loggia. So what we see here, these screens, they would have been retractable. So they could open it and have direct access and direct view to the gardens.
So this beautiful sort of indoor-outdoor breakfast room.
Yes.
Alena, so it's very interesting that there's so much beautiful detail, but is there anything in this room that might be an interesting feature?
There is actually. We talked about the theme of music within Vizcaya. There is a grill in this room, and they would have been able to play an automatic piano that is stored inside a closet, and it would have played into the room. So they would have been able to have like music while having breakfast.
Modern day speaker system.
Yes, essentially, yes, that's what it is.
Now, I do want to point out one thing. If you watched last week, you'll know there was a lot of symmetry with doors in the room, right? As you've seen in other rooms in the home. Here, I only see one door. And where does this door lead?
That's right. There's one door and it leads to the kitchen. So that's quite remarkable. A lot of people expect the kitchen to be in the basement or the first floor. At Vizcaya, it's actually on the second floor.
That is an interesting point. And we are going to check that out next and bring everyone with us when we come back. Coming up, we visit a 1900s kitchen full of modern technology on SoFlo Home Project.
Mike Martinez with USA Windows and Doors. We're here at the ES Windows showroom. I'm going to be showing you all the different types of doors and options you have available. Coming up next on SoFlo Home Project.
Welcome back to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra, and we are continuing to tour the second level of Vizcaya with Elena Gomez, the curator here at Vizcaya Museum and Gardens. So, Elena, we were outside in the breakfast room, just walked through the door to this grand kitchen, and of course, a little bit of a butler's pantry on the way in.
Yes.
Vizcaya was James Deering's winter wonderland. He stayed at the home every year from November through March. A large staff was required to bring the home to life during his stay. So we talked about how this was a house really truly built for entertaining, and this is an entertaining kitchen. Even for back in its day, I'm assuming something quite large in scale.
Yes, and this is the kitchen, but they also had like a pastry area, pretty grand, and it is furnished with the top-of-the-line equipments and, you know, that they could have had at the time. Perhaps one we can highlight is like we see this huge furnace. So they had both for coal and for gas.
So it truly gave an opportunity to really entertain, like you said, different types of cuisine, as many different things, because you have so many different cooking surfaces.
Yeah, and I mean other modern elements. We have this extractor.
Again, very large range hood. It's beautiful too. I mean, you see the detail.
Industrial grade, perhaps. Also, the sinks had a filter to filter the grease. We have a modern refrigerator, an ice box, a dumbwaiter. So it's like everything that they needed, it's here.
Absolutely, and I love always looking at historic homes and seeing how it relates to sort of things we still see today. And I'm looking at all of this beautiful cabinetry and seeing the inset doors, the cup pulls, a lot of the latches on the hardware, and you still see this in kitchen cabinetry design in certain styles to this day.
I guess it hasn't changed much since then.
It definitely has staying power. Sometimes the classics and the original type of things just withstand the test of time.
Yeah. Perhaps some tools have changed. Look, we have here, it's like a knife sharpener. I don't think many people have a knife sharpeners in their kitchen anymore. I think this large.
Yeah. Some of the things have gotten downsized, but it's great to see some of the design aspects like subway tile. So Elena, of course, we are on the second floor here in Vizcaya, and there's some reasons that the kitchen is on the second floor.
Absolutely.
And we are gonna let you know some of those things. But before we do that, let's check in with Mike Martinez from USA Windows and Doors and see what advice he has for us today.
When we talk about impact protection, hurricane protection, we always think about windows, but we need to think about the doors. Doors are just as important, and actually they offer more beauty and more options for your home. This particular door, and any decent door, has a 3-point locking system. In this case, we move the handle up, and you can see the deadbolt that comes out, but there's also a rod that goes up and down. When we talk about sliding glass doors, I don't think there's a better door in the market than the ES Window sliding glass door. This is a very heavy door. Look at the size of this thing. And yet, moving it, it rolls on its own. But this door is great. It comes in Kynar color. It's got great handles. The locking systems are positive up and down. They lock solidly. When I close this door, you can hear the quality. This particular door, although it looks like any other French door in there, let me show you something special that it does. I'm going to go back on the other side, unlock it, and watch this. This is called a bifold door. ES Windows is one of the few manufacturers in the world that can make this door. Now I've got something very special to show you here, something that not very many manufacturers can do. First of all, let me point out that I'm 6 foot tall. This particular door goes to 120 inches. That's 10 feet. Not very many people can do that. And now here's the really beautiful thing about this door. It's a cascading sliding glass door, which means multiple panels open together. And I'll just push that one open. It'll finish opening on its own. Now watch this corner. We're going to open the corner right up. And imagine the party you can have with this kind of space opening wide up. So here at the showroom, you've seen the doors we have available. You've seen what ES Windows can do, and you've seen all the wonder that's right here. Different things, different options. With USA Windows and Doors, we offer solutions that make sense for you. Give us a call. The number's on the screen. Better yet, look us up at usawindowsanddoors.com. Back to you, Alena.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, so now we are going to talk about a couple of the reasons of why, when designing this home, they situated the kitchen here on the second floor.
Well, as we know, ventilation is very important in kitchens. Having it on the second floor and having that extractor would have avoided, cooking smells and fumes to go into the spaces.
So it could vent right out through the roof.
That's correct, yeah.
And with such a large cooking surface, you need a lot of ventilation.
You do.
So now, since we are on the second floor, obviously there's a lot of staircases and whatnot, but what's the easiest way to transport things down from here to the guests or the occupants on the first floor?
Well, the easiest way, I would say, with the dumbwaiters. So there's a dumbwaiter that essentially connected the second floor and went all the way down to the basement. And then we have, to our left, there's a door, and that would have connected to the staff area, and there's like an elevator. And Vizcaya has 2 elevators. One of them is still working today.
That's great. So it really made it quite easy.
And also we see that there's like a panel up there. I don't know if you noticed, but there's bell pulls around the house. So if you needed to call a staff member, someone from the staff, you would pull from the bell and that would bring upstairs.
Wow, so this is sort of a central command for bringing things and helping throughout the home.
That's correct. Yes, there's a lot of modern appliances of the day. We have a plate warmer, so when food was ready, you would be able to warm it up or keep it warm until it was served. We also have some additional plate warmers downstairs in the butler's pantry. The staff also had his own telephone. It was an automatic telephone, so you no longer had to call an operator. We also have an annunciator, so it would have been their system to be able to communicate from one room to another.
So this is quite a kitchen, and it's been great getting a little bit of sort of the history of how it would be if you were living in the home at this time. And we're going to check out the sleeping quarters next when we come back. Coming up next, we look at some unexpected design features in the main bedroom on SoFlo Home Project. Welcome back to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra, and we are continuing to tour the second floor of Vizcaya with Elena Gomez, curator here at Vizcaya Museum and Gardens. So Elena, we have seen the kitchen, we have seen the breakfast room, but now we're in more of a personal space to James Deering here at Vizcaya.
Yes, we are standing in his bedroom, and James Deering awakens a lot of interest, and everyone wants to know where he slept. Who he slept with. So we have a lot of correspondence of Vizcaya and his construction. We don't have a lot of primary documentation about his personal life, but a bedroom says a lot about someone, right? And what we are seeing here is like a bed. A lot of people think it's a really small bed. It's just a single bed. It's not smaller than the regular single beds that we have today. And as we can see, it's more masculine look and feel than the rest of the decorated houses.
The main suite and each of the 5 guest suites found on the second floor of Vizcaya had their own dressing room and private bathroom. This was the latest in home design and a luxury in the early 1900s. And the color palette itself, lots of greens, I'm seeing some yellow and some blue, just a little different too.
A little bit more masculine. It's inspired by the French Empire styles.
And I'm seeing a lot of great details. Again, I'm pointing out things we still see to this day. It's a beautiful herringbone floor, and the wood gives this really nice kind of richness to the space. And the fireplace, the detail.
The mantle it's perhaps one of my favorites in the house. It's highly decorative, but very elegant and subdued at the same time. And you just pointed out the floor, as we don't see any carpets in this room, but there would have been a great wonderful carpet that we have in storage. It's a historic house, so it suffers from water filtration and humidity and so forth, so we had to take the rug out. We also see some water stains in the silk walls. There are a lot of projects, conservation projects happening now and also projected for the future to be able to preserve Vizcaya.
Yeah, so much goes into, as we've seen, the preservation of Vizcaya itself. I'm looking just even at the door frames and the doors themselves. So much detail. Nothing here is simple.
Nothing is simple, and you pointed out that door. Through that door, he would have been able to walk into his personal dressing room, and beyond that, a second door would have been his sitting room, and that's where he would have opened correspondence in the mornings and was able to walk from one space to the other without going into the gallery outside.
Sort of seamless, as we saw in last week's episode with the library, how there is sort of a hidden door in a sense.
That's correct. And the door behind me leads to a private balcony, and that's a balcony that we see from the front of the house. And then behind you there's another door, and that leads to his private bathroom.
And that bathroom is spectacular. The beauty of what is in that space is unbelievable. What's done with the marble, the stone, the details.
But it's not very large, but it's really grand. It has like a beautiful tinted ceiling. We have the bathtub with the swan heads and as faucets. The one was for fresh water and the other one was for salt water.
Wow, this bathroom pretty much has it all. And I can imagine how much went into just that design alone.
Yeah.
So we talked about this being an amazing space here, so much to see, but we're gonna tour one of probably the most fun spaces here at Vizcaya. So you're gonna have to stay with us to see what that is when we come back. Next, we dive into the preservation and restoration challenges of the historic home when we visit the swimming pool grotto on Soflo Home Project. Welcome back to Soflo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra, and I am here with Elena Gomez, curator at Vizcaya Museum and Gardens. We've been touring through some of the private areas of the home, but now we're at one of I think the most fun spaces here, the grotto. Vizcaya's Pool Grotto is one of the most magical places in the estate. It was designed as an immersive experience where visitors could feel like they were submerged in water.
And this space is adjacent to what used to be the sports room. So I think today we would probably call it a game room because it had a billiard, a bowling alley,
wow, and
a space to play cards.
So truly this is like the fun space of the home.
And then we have this magnificent ceiling, right? The best way of describing it, as Talvin put it, is like you're submerging yourself in the world of coral and tropical underseas. So you're supposed to be inside the pool grotto and swimming and looking above as if you were inside the ocean yourself.
It's very enchanting. It's this amazing kind of under the sea moment. And I love that it's so textural as well. It's not just flat, that you have the plaster, you have the shells, you have these 3D elements that really give such depth and beauty.
You can just stare at it for hours because there's like a great variety of vegetation, but also animals. As you can see, there's some sustained damage to the ceiling. I mean, it's 100 years old. It's plaster molding, and it is open to the elements. We've also have to endure multiple hurricanes and storms. So this is one big conservation project that we hope, if our funding efforts go well, to at least begin it next year.
That would be a wonderful thing. I mean, I'm looking at all the beauty here and imagining it.
It's just
so much to see. And that's the whole theme, I think, as we've toured through Vizcaya in both part 1 and 2 today, is that there is so many beautiful details within the design, within the home, within the architecture, everything. It's just been such a special treat to see such a gem that is unique to South Florida.
And so beloved by everyone.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you for your knowledge, your expertise, and of course, all the rich history that you've shared. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure, and thank you for spending the entire day with me. I hope your audience enjoys Vizcaya as much as I do.
Well, we absolutely love it. We've covered a lot of ground, and I thank you, and I hope that everyone at home enjoyed this tour today too. And now let's take a look at what design inspiration we have planned for you next week on SoFlo Home Project. We celebrate Thanksgiving, but we do it in SoFlo style. We have expert advice on how to get your outdoor spaces holiday ready to welcome friends and family. So I want to thank you all for joining us this week. We hope you enjoyed this tour of Vizcaya as much as we did. And we hope to see you again next week for another all-new episode of SoFlo Home Project right here on Local 10. And remember, there's no place like SoFlo Home. If you missed any part of this episode, or if you're looking for more design inspiration, make sure to check out all episodes online at sofloshows.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram.